We all know that the president is not the only one who's been addressing Nigerians. Only recently, a couple of days ago, his very good friend, and who happened to be his running mate, the pastor of the Latter Rain Assembly, Pastor Tunde Bakare, also gave his own annual State of the Nation address. I'm just going to read the first few lines from that speech. He says, "Some measure of progress has been made within the first 31 months of this administration. However, as was the case with previous administrations, the current government appears to be merely patching the cracks on the wall." I mean, referring to the president's stance on restructuring. This administration anchored its policy outlook on three main thrusts, including security, job creation through diversification, and anti-corruption. Yet, all around us are signs of retrogression. Do you agree with him?
I don't. Obviously don't. Obviously don't.
He went on to state, I mean, he talked about unemployment figures that have soared from in 2015 now to 18.8%. You still don't agree with him?
And I fault the figures. I think the figures are even understated. Because during the campaigns in 2015, what the president used was about 35 million youths unemployed. So saying 18 million is even understated. Unemployment in Nigeria is a cumulation of many years, and 18 million is an understatement.
It might be an understatement,
yes,
but it's a sign that things are getting worse, isn't it?
No, it's not true. Because if you listen to the Minister of Agriculture upper week, he said in the rice value chain alone, about 6 million jobs were created. 6 million. And the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, said about 8 million jobs have been created.
So why does it seem that unemployment seems to be getting worse despite all that
this
administration is doing?
Oh yes, because you have the accumulation. If the campaign saying there were 35 million unemployed Nigerians, most of them youths, even if you have created 10 million jobs in 2.5 years, it's a mere dent on the problem. So it's a serious problem. It's a serious national problem.
But in all of this, what it will seem is happening is that there seems to be an increasing loss of faith in this current administration. Are you getting a sense of that?
I think that's a general. I think it's a general statement. It's a general statement. It's not empirical. It's not scientific. It's just a general statement. I think those who still keep faith, still keep it.
If we're saying increasingly, supporters, I mean, people who were hitherto supporters of the president coming now and saying, well, we don't think that this administration has done well. Only recently, even his party had to come and dissociate themselves from a list of appointees, which contained the names of dead people, saying, we were not carried along. Isn't that also giving an indication as to what precisely is happening within this administration?
Not exactly, because the party itself has come out several times to say that the administration has performed well. That was just one case in the board appointments. So you can use that as a general blanket of what is happening.
If that is not enough, let us look at the meeting the president had yesterday with his party members, party stalwarts, and he said to them that, look, I'm aware of the problems. I'm not just holed up here, you know, not unaware. I'm looking and seeing what is going on and taking my time, you know, taking decisions based on history of the country. I think that was what he said, something along those lines. Now, if the president is saying that, it would seem that the criticisms that he is aloof or, you know, just holed up in Aso Rock, not bothered by what is going on in the country, might be getting to him.
Well, of course, it's a part of this country. He is not sequestered completely from what is happening in the country. I remember, I've told this story before, in the upper year, 2016 that will be now, when there was talk of hunger and lack and deprivation in the country. One evening I went to see him. And I told him, Mr. President, there's this noise all over the country of hunger. He told me, I'm aware. I'm aware. I have a constituency. Let me finish. Say, I have a constituency. People from my own constituency pass the word to me and tell me that things are tough. So it's not as if he's not aware. He is.
If this style of his and then communication is awareness, would you say it's working?
Style is idiosyncratic. It differs from person to person. That's his style. So Nigerians, you also recognize that style.
Because in his New Year Day speech, I mean, yes, people were killed just on that New Year's Day, and there was not a mention.
It hadn't. No.
That in his speech.
Situated properly. Situated properly. New Year's speech was recorded on December 31st. If he was reading it, it was being broadcast on the morning of New Year. It does not mean that he was reading it live. It was recorded the previous night. As at that time, there were no killings.
Do you think that it could have been redone, just to reflect
No,
it?
because as at the time it was being broadcast, news of the killing had not even broken. It had not even broken.
Now, if that is the case, I mean, afterwards, the president's reaction, one of the things that he's been accused of is a lack of empathy. I mean, people have talked largely about how he's supposed to have visited those who have suffered, you know, this from this crisis that has been going on for quite a while. And we've not yet seen, you know, any visit by the president to any of the states that have been affected by this crisis.
Those who allege lack of empathy don't know the president. We that work with him know him, and we know how touched the president can be by things like that. Personally, I know how he feels about these killings. I know how depressed and crestfallen he has been about it. The fact that he has not reacted as some other presidents will react in going to the place does not mean it does not touch him. The president would rather want to ensure that this does not happen again. And it has reflected in things he has done. He would rather want his actions to speak for him rather than mere words.
The question will be what actions, but
what actions? I can reel them out for you if you want.
We will ask that, and we'll let you answer that when we return from this break. But we'll also be asking what is in store for those Nigerians whom the president has ordered be brought back home from Libya. Is bringing them back all the government will do for them. In a moment, please join us again.